an international market, you need to fight for your space, and you need to make sure people understand what you're talking about. There's a different landscape, and so consumers they are bombarded with different wines from all over the world. So they don't have only the Italian market, and what can work in the Italian market may not work in the international markets.
Hello everyone, good morning. This is Ankita. I'm events head for London competition. And today our webinar is how Italian wines can grow in the UK drinks market. And with us, we have Mattia and we have Dario as our guest speaker. Mattia and Dario both are judges at London wine competition. And Mattia is also our category and regional ambassador for London competition 2025. So over to you, Mattia. I'm sure that we have so many questions that we have received from our RSVP producers, especially most of them are Italian wine producers. And we have great lineup of questions, and would be great to hear yours and Dario's thought on it. But before that, would it be possible for you to just give us an introduction of why you have chosen Italy as the region and wine as the category?
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. It's nice to always try to connect with producers and try to do new activities and new things. So just a little bit about myself. I've been in London for the last, well over a decade now, and I've been in the wine industry for for all this time in London mostly. I worked as a head sommelier for a number of years, and then I moved to doing marketing and a specialist for supplier and wholesalers at the moment, as well as advising a couple of wineries. So I've seen a little bit of the different side of the wine industry. I think the UK is still one of the most important market in the world, especially in Europe, although it's a very challenging and complex market and very competitive. So I think Italian wines really are exciting for consumers, but as is one of the most complex region in the world to understand, and Italian don't make it easy to approach for outsiders and not Italian consumers. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges for Italy at the moment, to try to make it more accessible and make it more understandable for everybody outside of the country. So and then we have Dario, who I think is going to introduce himself.
So just for the audience to know, Dario is actually driving, so we're just going to ask him to quickly introduce himself. Dario, if it is possible only, because we know that you are on the road and we do not want to risk anything. So quick introduction, and then I think happy to just be on audio if you prefer.
Yeah, good morning to everyone, and I'm very glad to attend this webinar together with so many professionals. And my presentation will be very brief and quick. I don't want to take too much time from the webinar. I start my experience is in almost 20 years in the business. I've been working in Italy for a while, and then I've been traveling all around the world, working in Bermuda, working in England, and basically my role is more complex. Well, it's complex as all the others. I'm doing wine research abroad, Italy and France and Spain, but today we are talking mainly on Italian wines. And the thing is, this brought me to extend my knowledge and my qualification on WSET diploma, and then now I'm into the Master of Wine course stage 1, which will last for a while. So this the reason why I highlighted this is because thanks to this intense study, I got chance to get a better understanding on the market and how Italian wines they are moving, they are progressing, not just in England, but how the Italian wines can get a future all around the world. And I can see, as Mattia was mentioned, that Italy, it's so interesting and so difficult. So I would say that for us Italians, we're lucky that we know already enough about the Italian grape varieties, because I believe that for a foreigner to start to scratch and learn on Italian wines, it will be very, very hard. But as you know, as everyone knows, when you know a lot, it's never enough. You need to know always more, and this is what we are going to do today.
Amazing. So for the attendees, I think it's a great platform because we'll be listening to both the sides. We'll be listening from Mattia on terms of what wine producers can do from Italy to make sure that their wines are growing in UK. And at the second time, we can hear it from Dario on the buyer's perspective as well, to what exactly the importers and distributors are looking when it comes to the Italian wines in UK. What is the market landscape do we have in UK for Italian wines, even though if it's complex, but where are the opportunities? Where are the right hit points that people can make sure that if they do the checkbox and follow the strategies, there is a huge potential, not only in England, as he said, globally. So over to you, Mattia, now to have all your questions for Dario.
I mean, Dario, I think this is a quite difficult question, but what's the current market landscape for Italian wines? Because that's very broad, and I think you can go in many directions.
But yeah, to be honest with you, it's the Italian market is growing massively all around the world, especially in England. There is a customer, they are so much interested in Italian wines, but there is a big attraction regarding everything which is Italian, and obviously Italian wines, they are not behind to anyone. I would say that this is a section which is growing a lot, and I got feeling that's a big opportunity there is to grow more, because, for example, in something Italy can grow is on, as example, the zero alcohol wine. We need to learn how, considering that this section is growing a lot all around the world. This is a section which, especially in Italy, that there are something more that should be done.
I think maybe, Mattia, would you like to just answer from your perspective? Like, what do you think is the
I think like what Dario was saying, is an important aspect, because obviously there are different levels and categories in the wine industry, and is evolving quite quickly with new technologies and new styles of wine that are being produced globally. I mean, the zero alcohol wine is definitely a growing market, because there is a global what's the right word? A global fight for like the consumption of wine. So there is the producers, especially from Australia and the New World, they're becoming more and more active in these low and zero alcohol wines, especially like the bigger producers in Italy, of course. I mean, some of the I know different producers produce different style of wines. So for like Italy is one of the largest producer of wine. I can't see why one of the brands could not try to enter in this market, especially for like volumes and price point. I think it could become quite competitive. But I think that is back online. I think that's the.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I got just some technical problem. Now I'm back. Yeah, but exactly, this is the you got the point, Mattia. The thing is, we got a fantastic product, and we got the market, we got the interest of the customer, but obviously we can. There is some area where we can grow further.
I think Also, in terms of Italy, for like the landscape at the moment, I mean, that's a global, I think it's a global diversion from like the middle point, the middle ground is getting squeezed, so it's either becoming the lower end or the higher end that are attracting consumers, I think, in general. So I think in terms of like growing in the market is defining as well where your price point will be and where sort of activities you want to attract to get into the market. There's a lot of interest in the higher end products, especially for the reds. There is a surge of interest for the Italian red wines, especially leading from Barolo and the Brunellos and the high-end regions, but that is trickling down also to other regions so that Italian producers, Italian wineries, sort of consumers are getting attracted to Italian wines for the premium side, but there is not much activities and there is not much coordination in England. I mean, England is not the same as in Italy, where the consumer know what you're talking about, they know the region, they understand what they're talking about. England, an international market, you need to fight for your space, and you need to make sure people understand what you're talking about. There's a different landscape, and so consumers they are bombarded with different wines from all over the world, so they don't have only the Italian market, and what can work in the Italian market may not work in the international markets. So which Italian wine region and types are most popular in the UK right now? And I think I touched upon it earlier, but I think it's interesting to hear another perspective.
Well, honestly, there are all the wines from the region in Italy. They are very interesting, but there are some regions that are growing more than others. Like, for example, Sicily, like, and the specific appellation like Etna, Bianco, Rosso, means white wine and red wine. They start to be really very attractive for customers because they can get the quality, they can get how interesting these wines are, and so this is something which is growing a lot. To be honest with you, even some other denominations, small denomination like from Calabria, like Ciro, I found a really very interesting product, interesting wines from this region, and the customer, when they try this new denomination, first of all they discover an area. Maybe they know this area because they've been there on holiday, but then when they can taste even the quality, they are really very impressed, and they are completely right, because it's true, the quality which they can find in this area is very high end. Also, all the other areas, they are really very attractive, but in terms of growing new areas growing now, I would say these are for me the most reliable areas for quality and for interest, and there seems to be attracting more customers.
I think it's interesting because like for both example, both Etna and Calabria, these like huge, I mean, this surge of interest is coming from quite an intense marketing and PR work done for the region, especially for Etna. I mean, the region is exploded in the last 10, 15 years, but historically it wasn't like that, and it was only like in the turn of the century, in the early 2000s, when a group of new producers came in and started investing in the region and bringing a lot of investment and spending money to make sure people understood the region and doing the activities to bring people interest in that finally the global consumers they come to. I mean, it's hardly difficult that, you know, international journalist or buyers come around to a new region that nobody knows I mean, it's down to the producers or the association to sort of attract these people and make sure the story is correct. And the wines obviously need to be of a high quality, but it needs to be like a combined effect that, you know, people otherwise, you know, people are not gonna go and look for the obscure, the new region in Italy because there are too many regions around the world to do that. But yeah, I think also for Chiro it's been very interesting because there's been a few events here in the UK. So a lot of a few producers are getting together, and yeah, I think is a market that needs to be some investment done to promote the regions and the wines. I mean, there are different strategies to attract the consumers for sure. Right on the consumer preference for Italian wines, Dario. I mean, you've been on the floor for a few years, so have I. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what you think about this.
Well, yeah, it's true. I've been on the floor for a while, and to be honest with you, when I got chance, sometimes I like to go back and to speak with customers and to understand if the wine list is appropriate or something else we need to find and to improve the quality or to give them something new. Regarding well, the grape variety which they are growing the most, as you know, it's customers are always going for Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon, Gavi. These are Merlot. These are the main grape variety which they are always very popular, and we sell like rivers in the bottle. But the challenge is to start to offer. Rather than to offer an entry level Pinot Grigio, maybe to start to offer an upselling and an upgrading in terms of quality, maybe going for something more premium, like I don't know, maybe Sauvignon from Alto Adige, or something more interesting like Pinot Grigio from a different area, or for some with some different characteristic. As you know, Mattia, the winemaking makes the difference. That is the reason why, considering how the winemaking has improved in the last few years, we can offer better wines. But we can offer not just better wines, as we said before, like the Etna Bianco and the Ciro, but we can offer even better wines in terms of the conventional grape varieties, like Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon, Merlot, but also with some winemaking touch, like maybe with a least contact or skin contact, or longer with some aging in a barrel, and this gives more character. Obviously, it gives even enhance the characteristic of the grape variety, and this can be something which can eventually give a push even to other grape variety to be more popular. Because to be honest with you, it's quite boring to sell always the same things, especially if in some restaurants where there are not sommelier, the customer open the wine list and goes straight forward on the grape variety which he knows. But if we give even some alternative, maybe the customer can be interested and can ask for information regarding one Pinot Grigio instead of the other one. Okay, it's not just a price difference, but the quality difference and even taste difference, and can even be another an interesting experience from his perspective.
There's need of a wealth of like differentiation in the market for like the quality, and also understanding I think the price points and the targets. I mean, one of the big faults that one of the faults I see in Italian producers is a lot. Oftentimes they try to be everything for everybody, and like producing the different They're not specializing or enough, or they're not trying to produce wines that either target one style or the other. And if they do everything, they're not differentiated enough. Because I mean, to be honest, the world of wine for me is changing a lot in the last 10, 15 years. There are a lot more competitors from outside of Italy that are coming in with excellent price point and quality. It's not only competing with your neighbor, but you need to also compete with like the New Worlds and the other regions that are coming up, especially in a market like the UK, where buyers and consumers they just they get a lot of trends, so and doing different styles of wine. I think the biggest challenge might be from outside of Italy competing it. The most effective channels for marketing for promoting Italian wines, I think is an interesting question.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question because it is changing massively in the last few years. If you would ask me this question before COVID, I would say for sure restaurants is the best channel, or even supermarket can be the best channel. But in the last few years, the online market is growing really very, very much. So basically, it's possible to make a very good business of promoting wines online and selling wines on the website. And this is something which has been developed in the last few years. And I think there's still margin on growing. It seems that there is no end on this, and obviously this will give a better visibility to a small producer, which they have not the potential to host a customer in the winery. Maybe they can create even a virtual winery with a virtual tour. So I think this can be something which can push sales in a different way rather than to go in a restaurant or eventually in the supermarket. And we need to consider the supermarket very carefully, because there are some supermarket which they are increasing the quality of their offer. If you remember, till few years ago, the quality level in supermarket was really quite not very good. Now you can, in some supermarket, you can find wines with a very good quality. There is some section dedicated to wines, because there is interest. Customer is more knowledgeable and they want more quality. They're not just interested in screw cap, on cork, or nice or attracting label. They want quality. They want to find something which they can enjoy the palate, and obviously they can find exactly what they like for food pairing or for having a meal nicely.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the digital side of marketing is definitely a lot cheaper to run than the actual event and everything. I mean, one suggestion I would give, because I've been doing a lot of like content and working on content, is that, I mean, choose your channel, then the one you find the most attractive, then you want to use, whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn and TikTok, whatever may be, then you enjoy doing, and the one you enjoy scrolling, and try to see if you can make it your primary source of like social media marketing. There's no point to trying to get it to all the different platforms, because it's going to be very difficult to manage. So my advice would be probably focus on one and then use the same and trickle it down to other social media platforms. In terms of like other activities and things like that, I think you're right, Dario, with the quality, and the producers, buyers, so they're looking more and more quality. I think is a global effect, and even in Italy, people are drinking less, so they're happy to spend a little bit more for one bottle, but at least that they know it's good. That they're not going for the daily drinkers anymore. I mean, there are, but there is fewer, so there is more like I rather drink a bottle less or drink better. So at least I get that, and in terms of like other channels, I think like promotions in the market, PR campaign. If you really want to get into the market for like premium and top end scale, you need to be able to invest some money into the market for like PR. Being in the market, I think, is the most important factor, especially in the UK, because then other markets usually follow the UK, especially like the smaller market. Look what's happening in the UK with the big sellers, and they try to for the same producer. But also, I mean, some competition could be a very good strategies for a certain type of wine if you want to ascertain your quality. I mean, getting the scores and getting the sales point, it makes it easier for salespeople to promote the wine and sell the wine. It gives you the extra standpoint, but equally, not all the wines have a Tuesday of winners. I mean, not all the wines are worth sending to every competition. I think, or sending out to get scores. So you choose the wines that you think they represent the best. The wineries that have the best possibility to do well, and you should be able to enter the market and grow in the market.
Yeah, well, I want just to add one point. You spoke about competition, and I want to highlight this because before customers, they were not interested in this medal assignment or recognition. This is completely changed, and customers are interested in most of them. They are looking for. If the wine has a medal or has been evaluated by critical for quality. So it's as I said before, and you highlighted on this. The market is changing. It has changed a lot, and there are some new channel that we need to look at because there is a really very big chance to grow, especially with this new competition coming ahead.
I think also people can much more easily assess your wines with like the new tools that have been created in the last few years, so people can check quite quickly scores, and there's a lot more visible landscape than it used to be, just 10 years ago, and people, consumers are more susceptible to looking at this. They're more inclined to check this sort of things, especially for a premium bottle of wines. They look at this, whether it's becoming a new way, a way to also for wine lists and restaurants. To people do check the scores even before ordering a bottle of wine. I've seen that, and I'm sure they will be much easier in the future for new tools to check all of this beforehand.
Sure, Dario. Thank you so much for joining in, and thank you for
your
insights. Thank you. Safe flights.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So Mattia, let's continue from here. So we have been hearing a lot of questions. So if you see the next slide, we have a couple of questions that brands have been asking on brand positioning. So I hear what we discussed about what are the different regions which are coming up, what is the market landscape looks like, how to read the consumer preferences. But what do you think about what is some example for Italian wine producers to position their brands if they are looking for UK distribution?
I mean, I think this stands down to like having a clear target and the product line to follow it. I think for me, like on top of my, we already mentioned Etna, how that has been positioned itself very quickly, and they acted. I mean, kudos on all the Etna producers to be getting together and doing all the activities and creating all the elements for like sommeliers and the maps creating very quickly. So doing all the work impressively quick. But also like for me, like some example of like producer that they managed to position themselves quite standingly on the market. It would be like for me an example would be the Piero Pan in Soave as a producer that he's been doing wine for the last other odd years. The lineup is pretty consistent. There are the Soave Classico for the volumes, and then the two Crus, and then a couple of other wines, and now an Amarone. But the streamline is striking. It's easy to remember. In the region, Soave they're lucky because Soave is like a famous region in terms of global awareness, probably coming down from years ago from activities and doing the work on promotion of the region. I think that's a great example of like a producer doing the strategy correctly and wanting to position themselves in the right bracket. Also, like some producers also in Etna, like the Passo Pisciaro, when he arrived on Mount Etna, the position was for quality, high-end quality wines, and he arrived in a region where nobody was doing it in 2000 and 2003. Worked very hard on promoting the region, doing the work for the region, positioned himself as one of the leading producers because he was the person leading the whole. One of the person leading the whole campaign of promotion of Mount Etna. Of course, market recognized that, and then now his wines are some of probably the most premium expensive in the Mount Etna. With him, another couple of producers that were there early on, but positioning also goes on the opposite way. I think, like on the more supermarket standpoint, the work and position is more on how friendly is your label on the branding side. So more how friendly is your wine to consumers, the name of the consumers, how much information you want to give on the front label, back label, what sort of price point can you reach? I mean, the price point is really critical for the lower end, the upper end of the consumer scale. I think the market after a while start dictating the price point of what it can be done or what not. The middle ground is the difficult part, and being in the middle bracket is not easy to move either down or up, especially for a competing market, and also Barolo and the other regions, they position themselves 150 years ago. They did the job of positioning themselves as the premium wine region, and now after all these years, they're paying off. But it's not position is something built over time, but it needs to be a target. You can't. For me, it needs to be targeted. I want to be in this spectrum. What activity I need to do? Who do I need to call? What partnership I have to do? What competition do I need to send my wine to competition? Do I need to invite a journalist? This sort of things. And in the website what sort of information I need on the website. Like that's really important, and unfortunately, Italy is still a little bit behind on all of this compared to even France and other European country. I mean, in Bordeaux, the large producer of Bordeaux, they're spending more and more money on the branding, the presentation, the website. When like up to 10 years ago, they didn't even have a website, or the website was just one page. So even there, they're recognizing consumer need information and need to understand what they're talking about. And most often than not, they don't need the information about the whole estate. They want to know about the wine and where the wine
True.
comes from.
And I'm sure, as Dario was also mentioning, that before COVID and now things have been completely changed when we talk about online and when we talk about the internet and everything. Because I'm sure that if the wine producers are looking for direct sales, they have to be updated with everything on their website. So, so tell us more about what could be the key distribution channels for them. So we know that what is important for them to position their brands. Yes, quality is important, price point is important. They have to pay more attention to branding, to labeling, to partnerships, etc. But what sort of key distribution channels do you like to pitch to the wine producers? And one more thing to add before you answer, Mattia. So a couple of questions was also whether they should be focusing more on retail sector, they should be focusing more on the importers and distributors sectors. Direct sales also was one of the questions that a lot of producers asked. And one question was related to whether they should prefer the wine trades or the trade shows. So you can just answer around and from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, I think the work needs to be done at the beginning, understanding who is your key target and where your wine, where do you want to see your wine, and not to confuse consumers, because I think it's really extremely difficult to be everything for everybody, especially in a country like Italy. There are only a few examples of brands that have managed to attract different channels and different is either the restaurants or the supermarkets most of the time for Italians. But I mean, historically, they usually start the advantage of Italy is the made in Italy always is going to attract a premium price, and made in Italy, made in France to other countries. So the price point, is going to be a bit difficult, more tricky to understand than other countries, I think. I mean, in terms of like distributors, I think to start with, usually if it's a new winery or a smaller winery or a regional nobody knows, or nobody, I mean, outside of the country, the people don't know it. Usually is the smaller importer, the buyers are more keen to find something new, something attractive, as something then they might look to fit or include in their portfolio to close the work, to close a gap they may have in the portfolio. But I mean, the work after the distributor needs to be continuative. You need to be able to support the distribution, especially in a country like UK, where the distributors also has the salespeople. So the salespeople is to know about 2,000 wines. What are you going to do? What are you doing for make sure that all the salespeople knows about your wine, the United Edition, is also supporting the distributor to give them the best tools and make sure you're always on top of. I mean, ultimately, is distributors spend 90% of the time in front of consumers than any producer could ever do, because they're out there and speaking to consumers, speaking to buyers in the country. That's a real strength having distributors, and finding the distributor that can work well with you. I mean, that he has the similar focus. If you're a producer, then you're specializing in I don't know, natural wine, or you're specializing in large volume wine. So there are distributors for different targets. Even distributors have different targets. So matching your targets with the distributor targets, then that can create a very good synergy. Otherwise, you're gonna just the product is gonna just sit in the portfolio and not moving, and then nobody is happy. The buyer is not happy because it's not selling. And it's going to be much more difficult. But of course, at the beginning, is the first buyer who saw something in your wine may be the right person to carry on for the first 10 years or something for opening the market. But maybe after a decade or so, you might have to look again for new distributors who is better position for you. It's and it's not all Italian; it's everywhere. It's but I think distributors is the best way in the UK. Direct sales are unless you're a larger brand that you can take care of import and the volumes and sacrificing the marketing of the distributors. If you can support that direct sales, do it, but it's going to be, you're going to sacrifice some channels because you're going to be too competitive for like local wine shops and other to carry on. So that's a trade-off. You control the market, but you don't control the other people. You might not be able to attract other players.
Yeah, what I was asking Mattia was, so I'm sure that you have pulled up the site as well. So I'm sure that you have been hand-holding a lot of wine producers and everything in place, let's say the price point to the quality, to understanding your target, everything in place from the producer's perspective. Still, we see there are big no-nos and there are so many challenges that they still face because UK being a very competitive market and Italy being one of the largest wine producers, and I'm sure there would be so many brands that would want to come to England and UK in specific. So what, according to you, do they usually face as a challenges where you have seen brands positioning not working out in the market?
I think for me it comes down to either the wanting to be, the price usually is like a challenge, could be a challenge, especially for a brand that is facing like competition from everywhere else in the world for like talking about like an international grape varieties planted in whatever may be, whether it's a Chardonnay or a Sauvignon Blanc. You're not facing all the rest of Italy, but you're also facing the rest of the world. Is it wine better than a South African Chardonnay? Is it at the correct price point to compete with that? Because consumers are ultimately in this market are open to every sort of wines, and it's not all the Italian wines. So UK market is a lot more prone to try different countries than other traditional markets. So they look at different price points, but also like it's difficult because where not every wine can have space, especially for a winery. Not every wine can have space in all the markets. It makes sense to maybe some of the wine being in Italy because of that particular style, especially for the whites or the red. They may be making a lot of sense in the Italian market because the Italian market is focused on Italian wines, although that is changing too. But some like entering with like I don't know, a very okay Sauvignon Blanc may not be the best choice for the market in the UK because there are a lot of other options and more established countries. But ultimately, I think also the styles of wine the Italy is producing is at the moment, there are a lot of like all these appassimentos and all this very rich style of wine, with like warmer climates and warmer days and summers and everything, people are drinking a bit less of these wines. There's challenges come from everywhere. Entering the UK market is might be one of the most difficult market to enter. But also speaking to being on doing competitions, being on trade shows, it helps being promoting there, but also choose your competition and your trade event properly, Yeah, specifically to your targets, and try to do some work ahead, try to create a interest in the market, especially in the UK. Try to create interest by doing activities, start inviting joining other group of producers, finding something, a differentiating factor, and really work for it. Otherwise, that's the only thing that can make your wine stand out, is your differentiating factor and promoting it.
Interesting. I think that brings to the last question that we have received. And I think this is more than a question. I think this is something which is beginning a kind of a process. We hear a lot about sustainability. So how do you think that where Italian wine producers are going with this? Because it's very important when we talk about UK market. And I think in general, also sustainability is something which is becoming one of the most aspects. So what are your points to how much focus that they should be paying attention to this?
Sustainability is still one of the factors for your positioning and your brands. I think ultimately, if producers are very keen on the sustainability project and they really think it's important for them, make it one of your missions to promoting your brand, make sure that you are giving enough attention to attract that sort of segment in the market. Otherwise, if it's only like, that we also are quite sustainable, or we're doing something like that it's not a differentiating factor. But if it needs to be, do it obsessively almost, because there is a market in the UK. There are a lot of there is I think a larger market than definitely in Italy for like sustainable product, organic, low sulfites, low intervention wine. Whether there may be, but like it needs to be promoted and attract the segment. If is the segment that then you really believe in, if it's one of your core mission or values for your wineries, then the market is going to, if you talk about this, that segment is going to come to you, because they're going to start to see all your work you put into it and start believing on what you're doing, and you're going to attract that segment of the market. But it's important to be sustainable for the future of the wine and everything. But like in terms of communications and everything, if you make it one of your pillars of communication, if needs be, otherwise
I think it's a big tool.
It's just another point.
Big tool that wine producers can use for marketing and branding as well, because I think a lot of buyers are also looking for the wine producers who are advocating sustainability and who are using sustainability practices at their vineyard. So I think it's a good way that you can leverage it in a lot of marketing and branding too.
Yeah, I think it needs to be part of the cohesive plan of the overall wineries and the strategy. So you can be a large producer, work really sustainably, but then you communicate it throughout the website and everything. And if you're a small winery, people are tendentially more inclined to believe or to think than a small boutique winery will work more sustainable, but also communicate about this. If you really believe it, with all the social media, we talk about new marketing and the social media. can become like your monthly post about that. If you it doesn't have to be every day, but you post it like once every 2 weeks or something about your sustainability, bringing people then attracted this project. You can attract also not wine consumers by talking about sustainability. You start tapping into another segment that is sustainability, but it can be other people who are interested in sustainability overall. And this producer seems to be doing a good job. I'm going to see if he's in the local supermarket. I might drink it next time.